maqsura, because remember the alif maqsura is effectively the alif painted as a ya, and it will come at the end of a word after a letter with fatha, so effectively operates like the fatha alif. So the same rule can be applied to the alif maqsura, and we'll see some examples of this as well. So let's look at an example here. So here we have the word ja'a. Now normally this would be jim fatha alif, but because it's followed by a hamza, and this is in the same word, again you would have to know grammar, because it's in the same word they put the madda sign on the alif, and this will now be elongated, and the simple rule is keep this to 4 long. So this would be ja'a. Okay, now if we look below in the Majidi version, the madda sign is slightly different, and again the madda here may indicate in that particular Quran a certain length. So with these lengths they can vary depending on which Quran and which teacher you learn from. So for us we're just going to say 4 long. Okay, and notice in the Majidi script this is quite a thick madda sign, and it's not really like a tilde, slightly different. Another example, so this time we're doing it with the long vowel kasra ya. So here we have sin kasra ya. Now that's followed by a hamza, and again it's in the same word, so they've put this small madda sign on the ya to indicate it's being elongated. So instead of saying si at, you'd recite si at, so 4 and then the at, 4 long. And again in the Majidi script we've got the same thing, and they've put the madda sign in and they draw it slightly differently in the Majidi script. Now hamza in the next word. So again we're going for the safe rule of going 4 long, however check in your Quran how they define the lengths. The first one here then we have a, manu, and then we've got this alif with the round circle. We're going to cover that in another lesson, but in the Uthmani script the round circle does not signify the sukun, it signifies that the letter is not to be read at all. So we'll just read this as amanu, and then the next word, which is awfu, starts with a hamza. So it's a hamza seated on an alif. So these are 2 separate words. So the last bit of amanu, i.e. the long vowel dhamma waw, so noon with the dhamma and the waw, which is normally too long as nu, will carry a madda and it will be elongated, and we could do that as 4 long to be safe. So that would be recited as amanu. Okay, so 2 and 4 long. And down below in the Majidi script, again they write this slightly differently. The hamza fatha alif they've written as alif with a short alif on it, so that's still a, 2 long, and then we've got ma, and then the nu, and they've put effectively here a normal madda sign that you would see in the Uthmani script. And notice that the next word is the hamza on the alif, but in the Majidi script they don't write the hamza in. And remember we said in a previous lesson that if you ever have an alif at the beginning of a word, so awfu is a word here, then it is actually a hamza. So it's either hamzatul wasl or it's the hamzatul qat', and we've covered that before in a separate lesson. So in the Majidi script this is a bit more difficult to recognize why the previous word carries a madda, because the rule of looking at the next word and seeing if it starts with a hamza, the hamza is not actually written there. So again, it's preferred if you can learn to read the Quran through the Uthmani script and learn all the proper rulings. Again, another example of hamza in the next word. So here we have maluhu. So normally this is another way of writing the long vowel combination of dhamma wow. So the little wow is written there instead. So that hu is normally too long. However, the next word, idha, begins with hamza sitting under an alif. So again, it will force the long vowel to go from too long to four long. Okay, so this would be ma luhu idha. And down the bottom, Majidi script again, they draw this little wow slightly different. It's effectively an upside down wow, but that's indicating who is too long in the Majidi script. And then they've got the madda sign on top of it. And again, the hamza in the next word is written just as if it's an alif, but it's still a hamza. Okay, another few examples here. So here we've got bima unzila, and because the ma is too long, i.e. it's fatha alif long vowel, they put a madda on it because the next word unzila begins with hamza. So again, that would be bima unzila. Okay, so the ma is four long. And you can see it again at the end of that sentence as well. Down below, again, the Majidi script, the madda sign's been put in, and the hamza on the word unzila has been dropped. So it just looks like an alif, but it's actually a hamza. Same rule taking place. Bima is one word, unzila is another word. So the hamza is occurring in the next word after the long vowel. So it will go for a length of 4 if we play it safe with the 4 length rule. Now, just a small word of warning here. The alif maqsura needs to be looked at as well, because, and we covered this in previous lessons, the alif maqsura is effectively an alif written or painted as a ya sign. And it always occurs on the end of a letter after, it always occurs on the end of a word after another letter which has a fatha. So it's effectively operating as a long vowel alif. Okay, so because of that, when it's read in the middle of a sentence, it's got another word after it, it's effectively can be read as if it's the long vowel fatha alif, and hence it undergoes the rules of this madda. So here we have ila, which would normally be too long, ila, and the alif maksura, they've written the small dagger alif, or the short alif above it. Now the next word begins with hamza, so we have ahlihi. So what happens here, it's the same thing. Alif maqsura is acting as a long vowel. It's followed by another word which begins with hamza, hence they've put the madda on it. So again, this becomes ila, for long. And below, they've done the same thing, but this is the Majidi script. So they've drawn the alif maqsura, and the ya there is slightly differently drawn, but they've got the short alif and the madda on top of it as well. Okay, so be aware, alif maqsura undergoes